Greetings. This is the one you've known as Jesus the Christ. This brings us to the heart, the spiritual heart, your inborn guidance system. Everyone has a guidance system, although not everyone uses it to the same extent. But the heart is available to everyone. When we on higher dimensions guide you, the heart is the point of contact within the body-mind where our messages are delivered and received. The spiritual heart is the divine's command post within the human body, and the seat of the intuition, which is the main way spiritual forces communicate with you. The spiritual heart is also the seat of all higher emotions, such as love and compassion, which drive you in life as do your human emotions. However, your human emotions stem from conditioned thoughts and therefore belong to the illusory world of the ego rather than reality, the realm of the divine. Higher emotions such as love, joy, peace, and compassion belong to your true nature and don't stem from thoughts. They are ever-present realities, and to experience them, all you have to do is tune in to them. If you allow these higher emotions to guide you, you will be happy and live a love-filled life. It feels good to follow your joy and do what makes you happy. It feels good to love and to do what you love. It feels good to do what makes you feel peaceful and what brings peace to others. It feels good to be compassionate, generous, courageous, and grateful. These are the higher emotions you've been gifted with, which are meant to guide you through life. Follow your joy, do what you love, be courageous, be compassionate, and be grateful. This is how to live your life. The other way, doing what the voice in your head suggests, is following the false master, an unwise master, and that can never lead to a fulfilling and love-filled life, since the ego knows nothing about true fulfillment or love. You are simultaneously human and divine. Your conditioning and other programming runs your human self, while the spiritual heart enables the divine to incarnate more fully into the human form. Without the spiritual heart, you would be cut off from your connection with God. The spiritual heart is your lifeline, your way back to love, while the voice in your head keeps you tethered to the illusory world of the ego. To embody the divine self more fully, you have to turn toward the subtle world and away from the voice in your head, and tune in to the guidance system you've been given. Following the voice in your head, the default, is the path of least resistance, while what the heart wants is more difficult to ascertain and takes some discipline to follow, since the ego's messages often compete with and overpower the heart's messages. You have to learn to follow the heart, while following the ego is automatic and unconscious. Then how or why does anyone ever learn to follow the heart? The answer is simple: suffering. The ego's way is the way of suffering, while the heart's way is the way of joy, peace, and love. Following the ego is not satisfying, and worse, it takes you in the wrong direction, toward self-centeredness, endless consumerism and accumulation, dissatisfaction, competition, conflict, and hatred. The egoic state of consciousness is an unhappy place, and every human being wants to be happy. You are programmed to go toward happiness, love, and peace. You are programmed to return home to love. Your desire to stop suffering and to be happy drives you to discover the truth about life, which can be known through the heart. The spiritual heart tells you what is true and what isn't true for you personally and in general. It tells you this with a simple yes-no guidance system. When something is true or a good direction for you, the heart opens, expands, feels joyful and excited, and says, yes. You all know what this feels like, even though it's impossible to describe this more fully. The heart also tells you when something is not true or when a direction is not right for you. Then the heart closes, contracts energetically, does not feel excited or joyful, and says no. This all happens in the subtle body and is felt energetically, usually in the center of the chest, near the physical heart. Suddenly you just know something without having thought about it. In fact, thoughts are not part of this guidance system. Although you might think about what you intuited afterwards, that intuition didn't come to you initially in the form of words. The only exception to this might be if you are a channel and able to receive higher guidance mentally, but that's relatively rare. It's best to assume that guidance won't come to you in the form of words, except perhaps rarely. You can tell the difference between the heart's yes and no easily enough, or at least learn the difference easily enough. It isn't hard to know what the spiritual heart wants and how it's guiding you, but it is hard to stay true to it because your egoic mind and other people's can easily dissuade you from following your heart's guidance. It's easy to be talked out of following your heart because there are always reasons to not do something. Everything has its disadvantages, and your egoic mind and other people's are quick to come up with those drawbacks. But your ego and other people's egos don't know what's best for you from your soul's perspective. The heart's job is to show you what's true for you, your soul's direction. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to the heart. It might guide you to do something that doesn't make much sense to the mind or to others. It might even guide you to do something you don't want to do, something your ego doesn't want to do. When this happens, there will still be a sense of rightness about that choice, despite the drawbacks, other people's objections, or your ego's resistance. You see, there is a plan for your life. It is a general plan. The specifics are not fleshed out ahead of time, but it is a purposeful and meaningful plan for you that has been carefully developed by your soul. The guidance you receive from those in higher dimensions will help you fulfill this plan. There are many different ways it can be fulfilled, and the specific way you do that is up to you. In your heart, you know your life purpose, although you may not be able to articulate it. You feel it and are drawn forward mysteriously to unfold it. Although you have free will and can go against this plan at any time, your astrological programming makes it likely that you will fulfill your life plan and life purpose in some way. This programming creates drives within you to go in certain directions and not others. It also gives you a personality type that suits your life purpose and lessons. Unlike egoic programming, which can interfere with your life purpose, your astrological programming supports your life purpose. Going against this programming feels unnatural and uncomfortable, and often leads to unhappiness and even depression. The prominent signs in your astrology chart signify certain strengths, drives, needs, and tendencies. Your soul chose to be born at that particular time because that moment in time imprinted you with those strengths, drives, needs, and tendencies. It isn't that the planets cause you to behave in certain ways. Rather, they represent the energies that were prominent at the moment of your birth, and everything and everyone born at that precise moment is imprinted with those energies. As above, so below. The placement of the planets in the sky represents or reflects the alignment of energies that is also present within you in that moment. You are programmed by the energies that were present at the moment of your birth. Astrology is a way of knowing what those energies are and interpreting them. This is but one of the great mysteries that you're part of, which you understand little about. There is a greater design and a greater plan that operates behind and beyond this universe, which you cannot begin to comprehend. It would be impossible for you to not be aware of these drives. They are so deeply ingrained in you that you take them for granted, like a fish in water. You just are the way you are. It's easy and natural for you to be the way you are, and you couldn't be any other way. In that sense, your free will is only so free, as your behavior is largely circumscribed and defined by your programming. These drives operate in the subtle realm. You feel them, but they're more subtle than emotions or sensations. You know what I mean because you experience them. For instance, you may have a drive to write novels, or a drive to be a doctor, or a drive to work with children, or a drive to play music. You are drawn to doing certain things and not others. You love doing certain things and not others. And everyone is different in this regard. Why do you do the things you do when others choose to do quite different things? You are meant to do certain things and not others. So to make yourself do something you don't have a natural drive for would be difficult and unpleasant, and a tragedy from your soul's perspective. Unfortunately, parents often do this to their children because they have their own ideas about what they want their child's life to look like. The drives I'm speaking about come from deep within, from the heart, while others, which are common to all human beings, come from the ego. Although the ego's drives don't relate to your life purpose, they're still purposeful, as they bring you the lessons you need as a human being. However, the ego's drives can derail you from the truly meaningful things your soul has in mind for you. The ego's drives and ideas often interfere with the heart's, and when they do, they lead to unhappiness and even depression. The ego is driven toward greater comfort, safety, security, superiority, recognition, power, money, and prestige. Pursuing these goals can only bring so much pleasure and happiness, and if pursuing them is at the expense of fulfilling your life purpose, you will surely not be happy. Putting the ego's goals before the heart's is like putting the cart before the horse. Your priorities are backwards, but discovering this is one of the lessons of life. Many spend lifetimes pursuing the ego's goals before they realize the emptiness of that. Fulfillment comes from fulfilling your soul's purpose, and you'll be pointed toward that by excitement and joy, and pointed away from anything that might interfere with that by unhappiness and depression. These are the carrots and sticks in life that help guide you toward doing what you came here to do.